Hey listeners, welcome back to the Black Health Lit podcast. This is a space where we can be Black, proud, and healthy. I'm your host and founder, Rachel Rae Crowder. Before we get into today's topic, I do have to remind you that the information provided here is not for medical purposes. This is not medical advice. This is simply informational. I hope you enjoy listening to today's episode and you shop the Black, Proud, Healthy merch. The link is in the bio. I do need you all to know that when you shop Black Proud Healthy merch, you are supporting the production of future episodes of this podcast. So thank you for your support in advance. Also, while you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to Black Health Lit on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other major streaming platforms. March is National Nutrition Month. So it's only right that we talk about food and how it impacts our well-being. Today, I am going to focus in on sugar, salt, and racism. So let's talk a little bit about sugar first. Have you ever walked through your neighborhood, walked to the corner store, gone to your grocery store, or any of the markets around your neighborhood, if you live in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and notice the options that are available? So typically when you walk into the store, the first thing that smacks you in the face is something that is crunchy, salty, and sometimes delicious, but unhealthy, or a sugary beverage. I'm talking about the canned beverages, things that are bottled with a long shelf life, so you can throw it in your pantry and the expiration date is not for 2 years. Those are the things that are processed, or the crunchy snacks or cookies, chips, things like that are boom in your face. Whereas the healthier options like whole fruits and vegetables, fresh whole fruits and vegetables, are hidden. We have to go looking for them sometimes. I recently took a trip to Walmart, and as soon as I walked in, I immediately noticed the grab and go section, which was made up of super sugary drinks, soda, snack cakes, chips, beef jerky, all types of just straight up junk food. And you have to walk past this section in order to get to the fruits and vegetables. And I don't think that's an accident. It's the wildest thing ever. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the video of the sugary and unhealthy snacks that are in this section and how you have to walk past it. Weeks ago, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I discovered a video and song by a group called Seasons, and the song falls under their album called Earth Amplify, and the song is called Food Fight. And when I watched this video, my mind was blown. I know that junk food is something that is killing the Black community and is disproportionately killing the Black community. But this video is a wonderful visual representation of how that's happening. I'm going to share a snippet with you all, and then I will put a link in the episode description to the full video so that you all can watch that.
Once they have established the norm that seed can be owned as their property, royalties can be collected, we will depend on them for every seed we grow, every crop we grow. If they control seed, they control food, they know it. It's strategic. It's more powerful than bombs. It's more powerful than guns. This is the best way to control the populations.
That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. We call up on lips and get fucked the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way. There's a war going on inside, no man is safe from DDTs, PCBs. Every corner in the hood got a KFC. A McD's is crack speed like RED. Bullish, the pulpit, so caffeine. Kit Kat like a click clack, holes in their jeans. So everything at the market ain't all what it seems. Little Debbie busting biscuits and sugar hot beans. Yeah, ain't nothing but a G thing. GMO, MSG, genocide, like street gangs. Aspartame, like street cane. Monsanto was Rambo, round up with ammo. Who would've known you could die from a diabetes and the itis on the dairy and the dose of the high fructose. If your ribs too close, so you might start a ride, might be a full fighter.
Back to what I was saying. The presence of sugary drinks and salty snacks in black neighborhoods at a higher rate or per capita, if you will, than in non-black neighborhoods is not an accident. It is deliberate marketing, it's deliberate targeting towards black communities to get hooked on these sugary salt and salty snacks and sugary beverages. So let's deep dive on salt. Woo, ooh, baby. The amount of salt that is in food is crazy. So when you're at the grocery store, my mom always used to say, shop the perimeter. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Those middle aisles, uh-uh. Those middle aisles, they not good for us. Now, I'm not saying never buy anything in those aisles that go through the grocery store, but if you are able, try to stay away from them as much as possible. So when you pick up things in those middle aisles, those are typically the processed foods that have a long shelf life. It doesn't expire until 2027, and you bought it in 2023. Those are the processed foods, and they typically have a lot of salt in them. This is a controversial topic in the medical community of whether or not black people have a salt sensitivity and whether or not the recommended salt intake should be different for black Americans versus white Americans or other ethnicities. I came up in the era of if you black, you need to cut your salt. You need to pipe it on down. But there is new research that suggests that black people don't have a salt sensitivity. Now, I'm going to step away from my public health hat for just a minute. Personally, as a black woman, I limit my salt because I'm black. I don't care what the research says. That's what I'm doing. As a public health professional, I know I always say, look to the research. What does the research say? What are they finding? The research is saying that we don't have to worry about eating less than our white counterparts. You make your own decision there. My stance is eat less salt. If you can limit salt, that is a big one. Talk to your doctor about it. Make sure that it's okay for you to make changes in your diet, especially if it's going to be something drastic. If you're eating a lot of salt and then you try to back off salt completely, make sure you talk with your doctor about any time you're changing your diet drastically. And that includes cutting things that are not good for us like sugar and salt. You just want to make sure that you're not doing any harm and that your doctor is aware. They may need to make adjustments to your treatment plan, medications, or things like that. I know that we're approaching spring. Summer is here. A lot of people are working on their summer bodies, trying to get that waist snatched, get that chest buff. But it's so much more to what we eat than just how we look. When we don't eat healthy or when we eat these sugary and salty snacks and or beverages, it not only impacts our waistline, but it also impacts our risk of obesity, which can come with its own set of health issues, type 2 diabetes, as well as heart disease, things that are plaguing the black community. So when you're thinking about which snacks to pick up, if you are able, try to choose the healthier whole fruit or vegetable option. Speaking of salt, when we were kids and somebody got angry, they was bitter, we burnt their biscuit or anything like that, we would say, "Ooh, you salty!" So what's interesting and ironic about the fact that we call people salty when they were bitter and angry is that having high blood pressure, which can be linked to too much salt intake, can lead somebody down a path of having neurotic behavior. Now, neurotic behavior can include being angry, being bitter, mood swings. That is ironic to me. Ooh, you salty. High blood pressure, neurotic behavior, bitter and angry. Tell me what y'all think about that one. Americans consume excessive sodium with an average intake of 3,500 milligrams daily. This is well above the recommended limits set by the American Heart Association. What they have found is that even reducing sodium intake by 1,000 milligrams per day can lead to notable improvements in blood pressure and heart health. The majority of sodium in American diets comes from packaged food, all that stuff in the middle aisle, prepared food, and restaurant foods. And I love to dine out. I love dining experiences, but restaurant food is not always the best for us. So restaurant foods is included in that. Impacts the Black community. I'm going to read you all something that recently came out with the FDA, and this is why voting is important. So the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, recently proposed a draft regulation allowing salt substitutes in foods governed by standards of identity, potentially increasing the use of potassium chloride. Fake salt, y'all. So patient advocacy groups, including the American Association of Kidney Patients, warns that this proposal could harm kidney disease patients, particularly, guess who? Guess, Black Americans, due to the risk of hyperkalemia. I think I pronounced that right. Hyperkalemia. We're going to check on that. Advocacy groups argue that increased potassium chloride intake could exacerbate, which means make it worse, existing health disparities and structural injustices within the population. Despite these concerns, public health advocates and industry support the FDA's proposal as a means to reduce overall sodium intake and enhance the flavor in foods. Because in America, we can't think of no other way to make food taste good besides salt. Okay. The FDA faces challenges in addressing sodium reduction policies in the U.S., with ongoing debates over the potential risk and benefits of potassium chloride substitutes. I am not a chemical engineer. I'm not a chemist, but it don't sound right. I'll put a link out to this FDA release so that you can read it for yourself. When you are shopping, it's helpful to just be mindful. Check the back label. You might be shocked when you pick up your favorite snack. One of my favorite snacks is rice cakes, the chocolate and the caramel ones. Good. Pick up your favorite snack, whatever it is, popcorn, Oreos, Chips Ahoy, Flaming Hots, Good and Hots when Mike Sales was still in business, was one of mine as well. Look at the back of the package and see how much sodium is in there per serving. Now, to figure out how much is in there per package, you got to whip out your calculator. They don't really make it easy to read nutrition labels because multiplication is involved when trying to figure out, okay, I'm not going to be able to cut out these Flaming Hot Cheetos entirely, but I would like to limit my sodium under the recommended amount. You got to whip out your calculator to figure it out. How much is in the package? How many ounces is this package? How many milligrams of sodium is in each serving? And then how many servings are in this container? I am going to do a separate video on how to read nutrition labels. So let's talk about food insecurity. I know that is a term that a lot of people throw around, but food insecurity is basically not having access to healthy and affordable food and safe food. I just had a conversation earlier today with somebody about food insecurity versus food security and what that looks like. When we look at how Black people are disproportionately impacted by lower socioeconomic status, which basically means we more towards the broke end of finances typically, and then that impacts the rest of our lives. That's all it means when you say somebody has a lower socioeconomic status. They got less money, typically speaking. When we look at that and how it relates to access to food, People say it costs more to eat healthy and is healthier. And in some cases, that is true. But there are a lot of other options out there that can help to supplement the budget or add to the bucket of food that you have for your household. So, food pantries, food banks, there are tons of organizations that give away free fruits and vegetables, especially in the summer when all the yummy stuff is in season, like strawberries. So make sure that if you are someone who is struggling to be able to afford healthy fruits and vegetables, check with your community organizations. Check to see who is giving away free fruits and vegetables. When are they doing that? And be the first one in line to get those resources. What can we do to address this issue? I talked about sugar, sugary beverages, sugary snacks, salty snacks, how they're marketed towards the Black community. What can we do about this? One is educate ourselves. How much sugar is too much in our diets and how much sodium is too much in our diets is a great place to start. Again, ask your primary care provider because the recommendation may be different for each individual based off of medications that you're on and based off any chronic or acute conditions you may have. So I don't like to give out medical advice, but always point you back to that PCP, your primary care or family doctor to check to see what adjustments do you need to be making in your diet. So that's first. Second, vote. I can't stress this enough in 2024. We have to get out to vote. We must. Voting, people think voting doesn't matter. Voting puts people in office, and those people write policies, they create policies, and those policies impact our daily life. They impact what resources are available. They impact what these industries can get away with. It impacts what standards these industries are held to when they're making these foods and drugs. So you must vote. Vote, vote, vote. Educate yourself and vote. If for no other reason, so that you can continue to have access to health or continue or get access to healthier food options. I know you thought this episode was going to be about yummy food and all that, but no, it's about what we need to do. Congress sets the agenda and the agency's budget, which establishes the legal parameters of the FDA, all other agencies, okay? So I hope I'm making the connection. Congress consists of congressmen. They are setting the agency's budget. They are leading what the FDA can do. The FDA is proposing a salt substitute, potassium chloride, which disproportionately could impact the health of Black Americans by impacting their kidney health. Now, y'all already see the dialysis centers all up through the hood. I don't have to go too deep on that one. In a nutshell, to wrap things up, I really want to encourage people to read nutrition labels, educate yourself, talk with your doctor, your PCP, or your family doctor about what adjustments you can make in your salt and sugar intake safely, and then vote. I'm going to say it again. If I say vote once, I'm going to say it 100 times. Vote, vote, vote. The people that we elect impact the policies that impact our daily lives. So if somebody tells you voting doesn't matter, it doesn't have an impact, it doesn't do anything, they a fool. You need to get out there and vote. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you found this information useful. Please comment and let me know what future episodes and information you would like for me to highlight. And I love you all and I thank you for listening.